Hello maths fans, Dr Tom Crawford here at the University of Oxford, and today we're going to see if ChatGPT can pass the Oxford Maths entrance exam. The Maths Admissions Test, or MAT for short, is an exam taken by all students that are applying for the Undergraduate Maths course at the University of Oxford. There isn't a specific pass mark, but the score that a student obtains, of course, does play a very important role in the decision-making process. Now, I am actually part of the admissions team at St Edmund Hall, which is one of the colleges that together make up the university. So I have a vested interest, shall we say, to see how a sophisticated AI like ChatGPT is able to deal with some of these questions. There are 5 questions with a maximum score of 100. Question 1 is multiple choice. There are 10 parts, and each part is worth 4 marks, giving a total score out of 40. And then the remaining 4 questions are each worth 15 marks. ChatGPT will be sitting the 2021 version of the admissions test, and I will link the test paper and the mark scheme in the video description below in case you want to have a go at this for yourself. I genuinely have no idea how this is going to go, so let's get started. So we're starting with a geometry question about dodecagons, 12-sided polygon. So I think I can just copy this over, but maybe I just need to change that last sentence to make more sense of it. Here we go. Okay, so to find the area of a regular dodecagon, we can divide it into 12 congruent isosceles triangles. That's exactly what I would have done. Good start. With the central angle of each triangle equal to 30 degrees. Yes, I agree with that. The base of each triangle is one side of the dodecagon. Yes. And the height is the distance from the center of the circle to one of the sides. Okay. To find the height of each triangle, we draw a line from the center of the circle to the midpoint. Draw a line from the center of the circle to the midpoint of one of the sides of the dodecagon. Yes. This forms a right angle triangle with half of one side of the dodecagon and the radius of the circle. Yep, I agree with that, I think. Pythagorean theorem, we find the height of each triangle is, okay, so it's saying the square root of 1 minus a half squared, because that's going to be halfway, and then we're going to form that as a right angle. Ooh, do I agree with that? That's interesting. I'm not sure I necessarily agree with that. Area of each triangle is square root 3 over 4. The area of the entire dodecagon is Therefore, the area of the regular dodecagon is 3 square root 3. And if I look at the exam now, we can see that 3 root 3 is an answer. So ChatGPT thinks it's D, 3 root 3. And if I now look at the mark scheme, the answer is 3. Okay, so I think I can see where it's gone wrong there. I think it's assumed that the bottom of our right angle triangle would be a half. I think that's quite a big assumption that you can't make. Though it does say here the area of each triangle is a half times 1 times 1 times sine of 30, which is a quarter, and then there are 12. Definitely had the wrong height, possibly. Either way, it's wrong. There are actually no working out marks for the multiple choice section. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to award 0 marks for this first question because ChatGPT got that one wrong. Okay, so 0 for 1. Off to a flyer. Okay, so question 1 part B. It's asking us to do an integral. Okay. Okay, this might be quite hard to copy across. Let's see what I can do. So I think that's correct. Let's try. Okay, to evaluate the integral of x to the half as x with respect to x from 0 to a, we can use the power rule of integration. Okay, integral of that. Okay, we've got a plus c. Then we can evaluate the definite integral from 0 to a. Sure, this looks good. Simplifying, we get is equal to this, given the value of the integral to a of that. It's clever. is equal to 5 is equal to 5 and solve for a. Exactly what we should be doing. And it's going to say, substituting this equation as, okay, they're really giving me all the detail. Therefore, either solving for each case we get, okay, yeah, y can't be minus 3 because that wouldn't make sense. So to the power of 2/3 we get a is 5 over 2 to the power of 2/3. Okay, is that an answer, first and foremost? 5 over 2 to the power of 2/3 does not appear to be an answer. This is not going well. What is this saying? 5 over 2 to the power of 2/3 is what it believes that a should be. Now, what is the solution saying? So the solution says that the integral, if we get a bit more detail, it says the integral is 2/3 a to the 3 over 2. Did it get that? 2/3 a to the 3 over 2. It did. Plus a third a cubed. I think that's correct. Plus a third a cubed. Okay, so it's done the integral correct. And then as it says, we then solve that equal to 5. And so we should get that a is 3 to the power of 2/3. I think it's overcomplicated solving that. A cubed is y squared. I think there's an error in the algebra. Wild. Okay, either way, it's not correct. Okay, I think I've spotted there's an error in the algebra there. But I just wanted to make sure I was doing something sensible, seeing as 2 questions in, 2 incorrect answers, unfortunately. All right, well, I better move on. Lots of questions to get through, so that is unfortunately another 0. Okay, let's hope the next one goes a bit better. Okay. Okay. Tangents to are drawn at this and this. These. Okay. Well, let's copy this across, and we're trying to work out a property about P and Q. Okay, this one might be quite hard to do. Let's see. I think I'm going to give it the choices this time. Which of the following statements are true? Okay, that was harder to type. Let's see if this works, giving it the options. What have we got? Okay, start by finding the equations. Okay, so it's going straight into calculation. Nice. Okay, equation of the tangent line. Just going to simplify it. Equation of the tangent there. Okay, to find where they intersect the x. Sensible. Set y is 0. Solve for x. Doing some things that a equal that and b equal that, and the x coordinate of the points where the tangent lines. Then we have one that. Okay, so it's going to check these one by one, I think. Statement 1 is not true in general. Nice, okay. Statement 2 is not true in general. If it gets this right, I'll be very impressed. This is cool. Statement 3 is true. 4, it says is not true in general. Finally, we have P plus Q equals A plus B. This is true, as we showed earlier in the derivation for statement 1. So they've said statement 3 is true. Did I type that as part 5? Oh, I didn't type that. Whoops. I may have mistyped the question. This is my bad. So I think it's telling me that 3 is true. So let's go with that. But if it's wrong, I may have mistyped the question ever so slightly. But let's just check. The answer is C. It told me C was true. Okay, nice. I'll give it that, given my slight mistype. Forgot to label the last statement. But no. Okay, so it got that one. So maybe I should give it the answer. Let's see if that's going to make a difference. It shouldn't make a difference, but nonetheless. Okay, well, let's try number 4. The area of the region bounded by the curve this and that curve and the y-axis equals this. Okay. Okay, so I can just copy that and ask it to work out the area. That's easy enough. Okay, let's see if we can just calculate this. Okay, so it's going to find the points where they intersect. Very sensible. Let's go to intersect at this point to find the area of the region bounded by the 2 curves. We integrate the difference between them with respect to x from Okay. They're using a negative infinite limit. Interesting. Region bounded by the curves, it thinks is 1 minus log 2. Okay. Is that an answer? 1 minus log 2 is b, and the correct answer, drum roll, is b. I'm like celebrating as though I got this correct. Okay, go ChatGPT. All right, so after a very bad start, the first 2 incorrect answers, we now have 2 correct answers. This is wild, honestly. Okay, 5th one. Let's see what we can get here. 6 vectors are chosen to be either that or that with equal probability with each choice made independently. The probability that the sum is equal to that vector is... okay. Let's see. Nervous for it. Okay. Independently equal probability. Binomial distribution. I'm genuinely impressed. Can you tell I've not really been playing around with ChatGPT? Okay, this is a little bit terrifying. Though, however, we can see it can't do everything. Okay, so it's solving some equations, values of, okay, compute the probability. The sum of the vectors is that as follows. It's working out a sum for me. Okay, and it's going to tell me that it thinks the answer is 45 out of 64. Now, is that an answer? Ooh, 45 out of 64 is not an answer. Interesting. Would that simplify 45 out of 64? It's not going to be any of those though, is it? No. Don't think. It's definitely not 0. It's definitely not 3 out of 64. It's definitely not 15 out of 64. It's definitely too big to be a 6. Could it be 5/16? No. No. Okay, so it's giving me an answer that isn't on the list, unfortunately. So that's wrong, I'm afraid. And did it understand the question? That's important. Did it understand the question? Okay, let's see. Choice made independently. It's assuming it's binomial. Sure, probability of half. Fine. The sum of the 6 vectors. So we want the x. The x is equal to that. Ooh, do I agree with that though? Oh, because it's saying x plus 3, y, sure, and then y plus 2x. Yes, okay. X times the integers, we need that one. Why not just... So it's not really solving these like simultaneous equations, which is a bit weird, but anyway. And they're the combinations that would work. And each of those combinations, it thinks, has probability 15. So it's found 3 possible solutions, it reckons. Very interesting. Feels like it's doing sensible things, but I think something's gone a bit weird. For some reason, it didn't just solve the simultaneous equations. Okay, I'm sure anyone watching can check this and figure out exactly what's gone wrong. But either way, again, there are no marks for working out. So unfortunately, it does not have the correct answer. So I'm going to have to give it 0 on that one. Okay, let's have a look at the next one then, which is F. Okay, the tangent to this curve at this point also passes through... Okay, great. So I can ask it that question. Okay, let's try that. Okay, so the tangent to the curve at that passes through 0, then the slope of the tangent was equal to the slope of the line passing through that. Slope of the tangent. I think that's okay. My derivative of the curve. Right, so it's done a derivative. Seems a sensible thing. Works out m as a gradient. Find values of a such that. Okay. This seems sensible. Combining rearranging terms, we get this. Dividing both sides by a minus 1, we get this. Solving for a in the quadratic formula, we get the tangent to the curve, the point A, also passes through the point 0 for 2 values of a. Okay, so it reckons, it's giving me the values, of course, because it's calculated this, but it's telling me there should be 2 values of a. Okay, so 2 values of a would be C, and the answer is D. Ooh. Awkward. It says here there are 3 values of A, for which the tangent to the original cubic passes through the point 2, 0. Awkward. Okay, so passes the tangent to A is y equals that, which passes through 2, 0 if and only if that, which then gives you a cubic in A. So why did it get a... I've spotted the mistake straight away. It got a cubic, so ChatGPT has got a cubic we have to solve for A, and then it's divided both sides by A minus 1. But of course that's the solution if A is equal to 1. So it came out and said there are 2 at the end, but it actually worked out 3. It's literally like marking a student's work. But again, there are unfortunately no points for incorrect answers on this, so it's multiple choice. So that is, again, I'm afraid, 0. It's not looking great. But maybe it's going to be better at the non-multiple choice, where I can award working marks. We'll see. Okay, G. Where are we going next? We have a sum. So I can just say what is. Great. This is a nice, so hopefully straightforward one. Boom. Let's see if it works. Oh, that makes no sense, but sure. It hasn't started well. It seems to have replaced sine squared is 1 minus cos squared of x. Yes, but that's got nothing to... Oh, dearie me. No idea what it's doing. It's just listing trigonometric identities and trying to do things with them. Okay, but are you going to give me an answer, ChatGPT, or are you just going to keep listing things that you think are true? We're still going. I'm really lost. Therefore, oh, we have an answer. Is it giving us an answer? Nope. Okay, it's giving me an answer in terms of cos. So possibly might be to do with how I've rewritten this. So if I copy this and then just get rid of the degrees, I'll give it one more go because I may have entered incorrectly there what we're trying to do. I'll just say where. Hopefully it knows what I'm trying to do. Let's try that. Let's see if this works any better. So it's replacing a sine squared with a 1 minus cos squared. Sure. Okay, so it's using some identities again. And so the expression yields something. Okay. Solving for the sum, we get 45. Okay. So I think this thinks the answer is 45. Let's see. Was that an option? Oh, 45 was an option. Okay. So it preferred it when I didn't enter degrees. I just did that to try and clarify things, but it seemed to have understood. So, and it thinks the answer is C. Let's check. Oh, the answer is D. Oh no. Oh, so harsh. So harsh. The answer is 45 and a half. I thought the answer was 45. Sorry, ChatGPT. It's another 0. It's not going well at all. Again, I didn't know what to expect, but anyway, part H. What are we doing for H? Which of the following graphs shows this? Ooh, I wonder if it can do a plot. Let's see. Can it do a plot? Because if it plots something that looks like one of those, I'll give it the marks. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so plot the graph of this. What are we doing? We can follow these steps. Determine the domain of the function. Interesting. The values of x, we must have this. Solving for cos squared, we get this. Okay, so maybe the function is between minus arcsine 3/4 and arcsine 3/4. All right, sure. Find the x-intercepts of the function. Okay. Cool. Find the y-intercept of the function. I don't even know if this is going to actually draw a plot. I don't know if that's possible, but we're trying to plot the graph of the function domain doesn't graph like a series of peaks and valleys. Okay, let's see if I can interpret this. So we can use a graphing calculator or computer program to plot the graph of the function over its domain. The resulting graphs look like a series of peaks and valleys that decrease in amplitude as x approaches the endpoints. Decrease in amplitude as x approaches the endpoints. None of those really do that, but okay. The y-intercept is a point on the y-axis that is above log _ 2 base 3. As x approaches two endpoints, the function approaches negative infinity. So it thinks it's going to negative infinity at both ends. That would not happen on any of those graphs. Oh dear. So it doesn't want to show any of them. The y-intercept is a point on the y-axis above log 3, sure. Decrease in amplitude approaches the endpoints of its domain. I'm not sure it can answer this one, unfortunately. Based on what it said, it seems to think everything is positive. And it wants to go to negative infinity. So it thinks it's B or C. It thinks it's B or C. Is there anything else there that I can use to argue why it should be one or the other? I think it wants to say B. On behalf of ChatGPT, I believe it is suggesting B. And of course, I have no idea what the solution is. Haven't thought about this. So it thinks the answer is A. Okay, interesting. This is telling us to figure out minimums. One of the graphs reaches a negative value, minimum value twice in that range. So it's actually A. It didn't mention anything about A, I don't think. No. Sorry, ChatGPT. It's a 0, I'm afraid. Again, no working. Okay. I feel like it was screwed over a bit there because it can't show you a plot. But anyway, it is what it is. Now, whilst ChatGPT might have been unable to solve this question, it's no problem for MapleLearn. To explore this exercise in a little more detail, I've put together a worksheet in MapleLearn which you can access for free by clicking on the link below. Not only can we see the correct graph for the function, but we can investigate it further by changing the domain and the values of the constants a, b, and c. I've also included some additional questions to help further your understanding, including a look at how changing the base of the logarithm affects the plot, simplifying the expression using trigonometric identities, and approximating using the power series for sine of x. If you enjoy the worksheet and would like to access everything MapleLearn has to offer, you can sign up for a premium account using the discount code in the video description. A sequence is defined by this, and is one more than the product of all previous terms. It follows that. Oh, so I can say, what is the recurrence relation? Okay. Let's see what it says. Okay, so the recurrence relation of the given sequence is that. In other words, to find an, we multiply all the previous terms, yes, and then add 1 to the result, sure. But that doesn't necessarily tell me whether any of these are true, though, does it? Okay. So what if I instead... I'm going to have to give it the options, aren't I? Okay, fine. Right, let's try that. We can check each option to see if it's true for the given sequence. Great, that's what I want you to do. It's true for n equals 2. This is also true. It's checked it for the first two and said if it holds true for the first, we can assume it holds true for all of them. Oh, and then it says it's false. Okay, so it did a very bad version of induction and then said number one is false. This is exceptionally entertaining. Okay, now it's checking number two. We're verifying this by induction. Oh, it's trying to do an induction on number two. Interesting. How's that going to go? We're still going. It thinks option 2 is correct by induction. Interesting. Pretty sure they're all... Oh, this is false. So it thinks it's false. Okay, so the third one it thinks is false. Good. And the last one, what's it going to do? This is brilliant. So it says it's true and then says it's not true. Okay, it seems to have got stuck on the fourth one, but it thinks 2 is true by induction. So, okay, so if it thinks 2 is true, then given the options can only be one of them or none of them, then it has to be B. So I believe ChatGPT wants to answer B, and the answer is B. Again, I'm celebrated. I like the way it does this though. It checks them all. This is clever. Okay. Anyway, it reckons the answer is B. So 4 marks for that. Well done. Okay, and now the last multiple choice question. Okay, it's not gone great though, has it? Let's be honest. But anyway, let's see if we can get this last one. 4 distinct real numbers are used to define 4 points. And then we can say, ooh, I'm gonna copy this over and I'm going to assume that they have the same length and then give it various options. And if it thinks none of them are true, then it will go for option E. All right, let's see what we got. Okay, it says all 4 sides of the quadrant have the same length. Okay, we know that, yep. Using the distance formula, equating these, we get various things. Okay, cool, simplifying each. So it's, rather than checking them this time, it seems to be trying to solve it or trying to get information about what we're seeing and then maybe checking them. But anyway, very interesting. Compared to other ones when it just checked the statements. So, oh, it says statement 4 is true. Statement 2 is true. Statement 3 is true. Wow. Good. And it thinks statement 1 is also true. It thinks all 4 statements are true. Was that an option? Okay. Does not appear to be an option that all of them are true. So it might be something to do with the if and only if. It says it's all 4 sides the same length if and only if. So it seems like it thinks all of them are true in one direction, so I need to check the other direction because of that two-way if and only if implication. So what if I ever so slightly change this? Okay, let's try that. So I'm going to try the opposite. So I'm assuming 1 is true and seeing if that. It says yes. Okay, this doesn't seem to be quite correct, but sure. So it thinks if 1 is true, it goes back the other way. What if I do the other one? A minus C is B minus D. C. Try that way. Because it said they're all true going one direction. And it said yes again. Oh dear. Ooh. Don't think it's quite understanding what to do, but it seems to think they're all true, which isn't an option. So in the interest of time, I think we're going to have to award it a 0 for that one as well. All right, well, it got three correct out of 10 on multiple choice, which is not great in all seriousness. All right, well, let's see if it does any better on the non-multiple choice questions. So the remaining 4 questions now are each worth 15 marks. This time there are no choices. It's not multiple choice. So my previous approach of trying to spell out the statements if ChatGPT misunderstood the question is really not going to help here, because there are no things or choices for it to check against. However, these questions are phrased slightly differently, so maybe this is actually going to help it, and maybe it's going to do okay, because it's going to need to get a very good mark at this point. ChatGPT needs a really solid 10 plus on all of these, if not higher, to be in with a shout of getting even over half marks after that pretty poor start. So let's see how it does this time. Okay, so question 2 is giving us a statement about logs. I'm going to assume ChatGPT knows that statement. By choosing a particular value of x, show that log 2 equals this. Okay, so now if I ask it to prove this. Okay, let's see how it does with that. We can use a Taylor expansion of log of 1 plus x, so x equals 1, to get the result. Interesting. The Taylor series is this. Subsetting x as a half, interesting, gives us this, gives us log of 3 over 2. Log of 2 is log of 2 over 1, which is log of 3 over 2 plus this. Ooh, what? Do we know that? I'm going to assume we know that. But there are lots of numbers here that I don't really want. This log 2 is that, okay, which is I feel like it's going around, there's so much happening. We have proven that, have we? I don't think you have. Okay, what's the solution say to do? Maybe they're doing something. Setting x equals a half basically gives you that. You know what, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. I think it's explained that really poorly, but it did attempt to substitute in the right value. I will, given how badly it's going, I'll give it the 2 marks for that. Okay. All right, interesting. What are we doing next? Okay. Use part 1 and the fact that this to find an integer k. Okay, so we need to find integer k such that this is true. Okay. All right. Okay, so they've exponentiated, sure. And they're taking logs to get back where we were. Amazing. 2 is approximately log 2. Oh, so it's basically used the calculator, which of course you don't have in the exam, but given ChatGPT has access to that on the internet, that seems fair. So he thinks it's 16, and the answer here is k is 16. Okay. I think it's very much cheated there, but still got the answer. So I didn't make the rules. I'm just copying the questions across. Okay, part 3. Show log 3 over 2 is this. Okay, so if I now say show that this thing is true. Okay. So I've tried to use the same input I used on part 1. Just slightly changing the formula we're trying to get to. So it's going to sub in x as half to get a formula for log of a half. Sure. So that's what it should have done. Okay, so it has started part 3 by doing what it should have done in part 1. But anyway, so this gives us log 2. Okay, great. So now it's worked that one out. Now we can sub in the minus a half one. Yes. And we get log 3 over 2. Sure. Simplifying, we then just have this. Is that it? That seems too easy, but let's just see what the solution is saying. Setting x equals minus a half in the given expression gives you the answer. Okay, great. Okay, so that was the first part. Fine. And it redid part 1 correctly, so I can give it the marks for that. Now, deduce that log 3 is equal to this. Now, if I say show that log 3 is equal to this. Okay, I think that's correct. Let's see. Right, 1 plus 1 over 3 times 2 squared. Times 2 squared plus 1 over 5 times 2 to the 4 plus 1 over 7 times 2 to the 6. Yeah. All right, well, okay, so it's working out log 3. We write the series on the right-hand side by factoring out 2/3 squared. Series for log 1 plus x. Okay, it's doing lots of substituting. Oh, I think it's got it. It thinks it's got it. Now, what was it meant to be doing on the solution? Log 3 is log 3 over 2 plus log 2. Did they mention that? In a roundabout way, yes. And then what were we doing with that? We were doing that and then saying expression for log 2 found in part 1 to the expression we just found for log 3 over 2. So you just add the previous 2 parts. Is that what it's now saying? Okay, it's done a lot of different things and definitely not used the earlier parts of the question. However, that seems to be the right answer. So, sure. It's a lot better at these ones. So that looks good to me. So that's another 2. It's going very well. Another 2. Okay, part 4. What are we being asked to do this time? Part 4. Deduce that. Oh, deduce that log 3 is between these 2 values. I have a feeling a computer can indeed deduce this, but I will write it out anyway. Oh no, it's using the earlier part of the question. Very clever. Okay, let's make the first 3 terms. To estimate the value of log 3, we can use this truncated series and bound the error. Okay, no, it's doing it properly. Fair play, fair play. Estimation theorem says the alternating series estimation theorem says that the error in the alternating series is less than the absolute value. So we have that, which simplifies to give us the error in an alternating series is less than the absolute value, the first neglected term. Very interesting. Is that what we're supposed to do? Let's see. So it said log 3 is less than that one and greater than 13 over 12. And this one has just said log 3 minus that is less than that. And it simplifies to that. Does it though? Well, you know what? It's not an alternating series though, is it? What is the alternating series? I'm going to look this up. But it has to alternate. No, it has to alternate and it doesn't alternate. So you're actually talking nonsense, ChatGPT. You've used the alternating series estimation theorem on a series which does not alternate, right? It does not. You nearly had me then. I'm sorry, you actually can't have those this time. I cannot give you those 4 marks. So that's actually going to be 0 because you've talked nonsense. Yeah, it's using something that clearly just doesn't apply, I'm afraid. Okay, and then the last one, which is larger? 3 to the 17 or 4. I have a feeling it might be able to do a which is larger question, but anyway. Which is larger, 3 to the 17 or 4 to the 13, question mark. I feel like it's just going to tell me, isn't it? We can rewrite the inequality. So we need to compare these 2 numbers, running both sides, we get that. So 2 to the 10, 2 to the 16. 4 to the 13 is larger. And it didn't just give me the answer, which is nice. What does this say? That's wrong. 3 to the 17 is larger. 3 to the 17 is bigger than 4 to the 13. 3 to the 17. So ChatGPT thinks 413 is bigger. And the answer is 3 to the 17. Amazing. Okay, well, it's got that wrong. Okay, so that's, I'm afraid, is another 0. Oh, it was going so well. It started that question so well and then just completely lost. Absolutely lost it at the end there. All right, well, we better move on. Question 3. Okay, what are we doing next? Okay, here we go. Right, so lots of words. Don't know how this is going to go down. Okay. A polynomial px at turning point 0, 0. Explain why p of 0 is 0 and why p prime of 0 equals this. Ooh, okay. Well, let's try typing this out and see what on earth happens. See how this goes. Okay, at turning point 0, 0. Derivative, okay, at turning point 0. Yes, I agree with that. The y-intercept must be 0. Okay, yeah, fine. Turning point 0, 0 must be an even function. Even function, okay, even powers. Okay, they've gone more advanced, but okay, even function, even powers, sure. Consider the limit of that to appear as an even function. Generality. But we know its first 2 derivatives. Is it going to do derivatives? Come on. 0, therefore we have limit equals a2. Px is continuous at 0, therefore we can write. Right, okay, but then those 2 are 0 as we worked out. This is clever. Okay, this is clever. Right, is that what we were looking for? I think that's what we were looking for, but let's just check. Value x is 0, yes, turning point, and it's repeated roots factor twice. Yeah, 3 marks. Nicely played, ChatGPT. I enjoyed reading that one. That was a nice answer. Okay. 3 part 2. Right, what are we doing now? Polynomial Rx has a turning point from A. Write down expression for Rx similar form to the expression above. Just to tell your answer. Okay. Don't know how this is going to go, but let's see. What have you got for me? If it has a turning point, it means it changes from increasing to decreasing or vice versa. Okay. Derivative is 0 there. Okay. Polynomial has a horizontal tangent. It means the second derivative is negative. It's less than a and positive as x greater than a. Do we know that? Okay. A possible expression for Rx satisfies these conditions is Rx equals k times x minus a squared. It's a parabola with vertex there, sure. So was not critical point. Talking about turning points, talking about maximum minimas. Next, we'll use the x to the equation of the quadratic term is the same, and the linear and constant terms are related to the turning point of the polynomial. Okay. So what was this actually looking for? Write down an expression for Rx that is of similar form to the expression star above. X minus a squared times qx. Did they have the qx bit? It does not, but it gives you one possible thing. Okay, that's fine. I'll give it that. Did it mention the translation a bit about the graph? No. Okay, so how many marks were available? 2. 2 marks, I give it 1 out of 2. So it got the idea of the question, but it missed the translation by the graph. Kind of, not sure it necessarily understands that term, but it didn't mention anything about the graph being shifted, so can't give it that mark. Okay, 3 part A, what are we doing now? You are now given that f(x) polynomial to be 4, it's 2 turning points. Write down the most general possible expression for f of x. Okay. Try it. Okay. fx must have this form. Sure. Has 2 turning points. They must both be repeated roots. Must they be repeated roots? Interesting. I'm not sure they must. Ooh. Very interesting now. That term is found in degree 4 has no turning points, since the sum of terms that even powers can write its term. Okay, so it reckons it's kx minus a squared times x plus. I think this might be wrong, but let's see. There must be an x minus a squared. Oh no! I apologise, ChatGPT. You are correct. There must be that factor, so there must be a factor x plus a. Must have degree 4, so must like that and a. All right, my bad. I apologise profusely. I'm sorry, ChatGPT. You are correct. So that's 3 marks. Nicely done. Okay, fine. Now part B. What are we doing there? Describe a symmetry of the graph and prove algebraically that it does have this symmetry. All right, let's see if we can just interpret this as is. Okay, so it has it correct, so I think it's okay for me just to copy the text straight in. It's symmetric about the y-axis. To prove this algebraically, we need to show that fx equals f of minus x. Very nice, yeah, it does need to show that. Okay. But we know what it is from before. Minus d equals d. Minus d does not equal d. So it said the correct thing. It said we need to show that f of x is f of minus x to show that it has symmetry about the y-axis, which I think is actually what we want to show here. Yep. But it has categorically not shown what it needed to show. It said that minus b equals b, which of course would mean that b was 0. So, bit of a misunderstanding there, but I'll give it 1 out of 2. Fair enough, 1 out of 2. Okay. Write down the x-coordinate of the third turning point of f. Okay. Let's just copy that over and see if it can do that. Boom. Okay. Since we know it has 2 turning points, the third turning point must be 0, c. To find the value of c, we can use the fact that the sum of the x-coordinates of the sum of the x-coordinates of the turning points of a quartic polynomial is always 0. That's a nice bit of knowledge. So it thinks the third turning point is the origin. It thinks it's 0, 0. Let's see. Must be x equals 0. Beautiful. You know what? You can have your mark, ChatGPT. Well done. You can have that. Part 4. What are we trying to do here? Okay, here we go. Is there a polynomial of degree 4 which has this? I feel like it might do okay here. We'll see. Jinxed it last time. Is there a polynomial of degree 4 which has turning points? Justify your answer. Okay, let's see. Yes, there is. Okay. Let's call this polynomial. Okay, it has degree 4 and 3 turning points. We know it has either 1 local maximum, 2 local minimum, 1 minimum, 2 maximum. Okay. It's missed points of inflection from that description, but all right, let's go with it. Okay, and 2 other complex conjugate roots. Ooh, but it has 0, 0 and 1, 3. Okay. It's doing lots of things. I'm not sure. We'll see what it gets at the end. What does it reckon? Okay, it was giving me the answer. Okay, now, is this going to match what we've got in the solutions? Let's see. Okay, so it reckons we can get 3x to the 4 minus 12x cubed. That's not correct. Plus 12x squared. Okay, so that's one option. That's another option. I don't. So it said yes, but then I think it messed up in its calculation because it only worked out 2 roots instead of the 3. For some reason, it ignored one of them. I don't really understand why. So therefore, looking at the mark scheme, I'll give it 1 mark because it knew what the answer should be. So it'll be nice. Okay, and then the last one for this section then is a problem 4, which has this. Right. Okay, so let's see. How's it going to do? Okay, so now it says no. Okay, right, and the answer says no. Okay, good. So it's got that right, but now is the justification going to be correct? Okay, so it's going to get a turning point there. We know this. We have a turning point there, so it gives us that. And we have another set of turning points. We can solve the 6 system. We find there's no solution. I like that. Now, is that going to be correct? No, but I think that's sensible. I will believe ChatGPT and give it the 2. Okay, so that's a much better mark on question 3. So I think all the words there helped, actually, and it was able to understand the input a lot better, because that's 12 out of 15, which is very decent mark on that. So far, it would appear the non-multiple choice questions is finding a bit easier, and in particular, the more words, the better. Let's see how it does then on question 4. Okay, 4. Charlie is trying to cut a cake. Okay, the cake is a square with side. Oh, it's a geometry question. See, I would hate this, but we'll see how ChatGPT. I have a feeling it won't do very well because it didn't like drawing plots and graphs. And I feel like it's a geometry question, you maybe need that, but I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so cake is a square with side length 2 and has these corners. Charlie's first cut is a straight line segment from the point that and that. Okay, so I can copy all of that. Charlie plans to make a second straight cut from that one edge. This will make a slice of the cake which is bounded in the second cut. Okay, find the area of the slice of the cake in terms of x, y, and k. Okay, this is a whole other level, but let's just put it in. Find the area of the slice of cake. Check your expression by verifying this. All right, giving it all the info. Okay, so it's relabeled the points now as A and B. Interesting. The first cut will divide the cake into rectangles, and okay, second cut will divide the first rectangle into 2 triangles, which I think matches the diagram. Yes, sensible, sensible. Okay. It's working out some areas, working out an area of a slice of cake. Okay, so it reckons the area of the slice of cake is x, 2 minus x over 2. Okay, check this expression. Okay, area of slice of cake, it gets x, 2 minus x over 2. And we were trying to get it in terms of x, y, and k. So that doesn't feel correct at all. But anyway, to check this expression gives the area of 1 when x equals 1, y equals 1, and k equals 1. We substitute the values into the expression. So that would give a value of a half. Since this is half the area of the original cake, which has area 2, it is reasonable to believe this expression is correct. So is it saying it's half of the original one? Oh, I'm very lost. It's shown that the area when x is 1 is a half, even though it should be 1, and it says it's correct. I think it may have gone very, very wrong. All right, well, anyway, what is the answer suggesting we should be getting here? It says it should be a trapezium, and it should be x times k plus y over 2, which is absolutely not what ChatGPT has figured out. Okay. So that is a huge 0. Not a clue what it was trying to do there. Very bad. Okay. Next one. Find another point on the cake such that choosing k equals 1. So I can see that part 2 requires the formula from part 1. And seeing as it's got nowhere with that, I could either give it the answer or I could try regenerating the response. So I'm going to try one more time and see if we can regenerate the response and see if it's any better. Okay, let's see. Okay, so it's doing some coordinate stuff. This seems better already, actually. Now let's do some integrals. Seems a little bit complicated, but sure. The area is not 1. Oh, man. It's given another incorrect formula. Okay, I think to get anything interesting, I'm going to have to tell it the formula for the area. The formula for the area of the slice of cake is x k plus y over 2. Okay, I'm going to have to help it out. X k plus y over 2. Otherwise, it's at 0 on the whole question, I think. Right, now it seems to have figured out that it's a trapezoid. Okay, right, well, whilst it figures that out, I'm going to copy in this bit, find another point, x, y, and see if it can do this. Oh, it's still doing things for me. Formula. Okay, so now it seems happy with the correct answer that I had to give it. Still giving it 0 marks. Now let's see if it can do the second part. So it says if x is 2 and y is 2, then the second cut will be that. The resulting slice of cake is a right angled triangle with base 2 and height 1, so its area is 1. Okay, so it's now saying x is 2 and y is 2, then k is 1. Does that work? Okay. No, x is 2 and y is 2 doesn't work, though, does it? Because the area quite literally needs to be 1. So the question, it's not interpreted, it's understood it at all. Choosing k equals 1, find another point xy. So if k is 1, then we need to solve x, 1 plus y over 2. So if they're both 2, then that's literal nonsense. That's 3. Ugh. Honestly, well, it's worth a mark. It's not having the mark. Sorry, it's going very badly. Part 3. Show that it is only possible to choose a value of k that gives a slice of cake with area 1 if both that. Okay. Let's try it. Or equals 2. Okay. I have very little faith it will figure this out, but let's try. Okay, so starting with the formula. It's at least used the formula now. Setting a equals 1. Great, we get that. Nice. And we know a is 1. Brilliant. Cake to have area 1, we need k to be valid, as the slice is bounded by the left-hand case. Yes. For k, we have that. Simplifying and rearranging, we get... Ooh! It may have got this out of nowhere. Every time I don't think it'll do it, it gets it. Okay, so area equals 1. Yep, so that gives us something. And then it said something about the inequalities for k. K is greater than equals to 0 and 2. So we need, yep, and yeah. You know what? Well played, ChatGPT. I will give you those 3 marks because you've been doing so terribly. I'll give you those 3 marks. No, I think it did the right thing there. Okay. Sketch the region for which the inequalities in both that part. Okay, well, it won't do that. So I can ask it maybe to describe the region. Okay. So I know it won't sketch, but I can ask it to describe it, maybe. We'll see. Okay, see the qualities. We first note the equations, the symmetry of the square cake. If we can focus on the region in the first quadrant. Yes, where they're both positive. We know that. Passes through the points 1, 0 and 2, 1 in the region above. Ooh! It seems to have drawn something interesting. It's plotted something now. Okay. Didn't know it could do this. This is new development. It's evolving as I have been playing with it and doing this exam. Well, what's the answer? Let's check that. Ooh. So it's like a curved thing between these points. Now, what on earth have I got? Have we got those curved things? Maybe? I'm really lost as to what this is doing. graph those two curves, the region below this curve, shaded below represents the region. The shaded region below represents the region R, and I just have not even got a clue what that thing is. Okay, it's bounded by the x-axis, the y-axis, and the curve y equals 2 over x. Is it though? It doesn't look anything like that. I mean, it made a good effort, but no. It's just trying to plot things, but it can't do it. It's a shame, but I just don't think I can. But now it can plot. This is wild. Okay, let's see if we can get anywhere. Last part. Not been a good one. So I want to make the second straight cut to this on top of the key. I'm going to make a slice pattern to the left, 2 cuts, inequalities. Another sketch. All right, well, pretty sure it's not going to be able to do this. But again, if I try to scribe. So let's see if we can get the inequalities. Let's see if we can get these inequalities. Okay. Ooh, let's put a nice little formula in here. Is that right? M minus x, 2 minus y over 2. Does that look correct? It's done something. Minus x, 2 minus y over 2. But there seems to be other bits, but okay. Ooh. All right, well, let's go back. Let's see where we're getting. Okay. Oh, no. It's got all kinds of things happening. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Solving for m. Getting an area of a slice. It's giving us one necessary and sufficient inequality. Very good. X is y over 2 minus y. But that would appear to be an equality, but okay. And then the second cut. So it reckons it's got two equalities that it's referring to as inequalities. However, what were we trying to get? We were trying to get that 2 is greater than or equal to x times 2 plus y. 2 is greater than or equal to x times 2 plus y. Well, that's not what we've got there. And m is 4 over 2 minus y. M is not at all 4 over 2 minus y. Ooh. Interesting, but not looking correct. All right, well, what can I say now? Describe the region. Calculated above. I don't think it's got this, but anyway. But now it's giving me two totally different inequalities on M. Anyway, it's a trapezoidal region in the first quadrant. Positive x-axis is the curve y equals 2 over x. I don't think that's correct either. It's not really trapezoidal, is it? But saying that though, top edge is the curve y equals 2 over x. Do I agree with that? Not really. And then left edge is 0, the right edge is xy equals 2. And it's trying to say obtained. You know what? Let's give it one more go where I put all of the text at once. And let's see what we can get now. I'll give it sketch. Let's see. Drew a graph last time. Okay. Still saying y is 2 minus x over 2. We don't know that the area is 1. It keeps wanting to think the area is still 1. But then we are told that actually. Interesting. No, we are told the area is 1. I'm not really sure what it's doing then. Oh, we've got interesting points. The image you are requesting does not exist or is no longer. Got an image from Imgur that does not exist. Interesting. Wow. Okay. I'm pretty sure this is just not correct, but because it's trying to say that m is between these two values, which I don't think is what this is doing, is it? M is 2 minus We want y is less than or equal to 6 over 2 minus x. It's just not getting that, is it? No. Because it's getting m stuck there. I don't think it's getting this, unfortunately. Sorry, chat. I don't think I'll give you any marks for that. I think that was a tough one. That was a very, very hard question for it to interpret, especially with the visuals. But still managed to get 3 out of 50. All right, well, there's one left. There's one left. Let's see how it does on the final question. The final question, number 5. So a triangular triple is a triple of integers such that we can construct this. Okay, great. It's just telling me lots of things. Right, to be number of triples of the same number in order how distinct triples. Okay, well, let's see if it can do this. Yes, it can. Okay, good. My bad. Sorry, ChatGPT. So it's got what? But it reckons there's 1 for p equals 4, which is false. So it's got 1, 1, 2, 3, and the answers are 1, 0, 3, 1. Oh man. Well, I got one of them right this time, I guess, which is something. This is not a valid triangular triple since 1 plus 1 is less than or equal to 1. I think that's incorrect somehow, ChatGPT. Well, it tried. 0, 2, 2, 3, and the answer should be none of those. That's like attempt number 5 or something, but trying to answer this question. So it did something sensible, so I'm going to give it 1 out of 2, but it clearly does not like what is happening with this one. All right, well, let's see if it does any better with the proof. So part 2 here would appear to be a proof. So let's try this. Boom. See if we can do the proof. So A, B, and C are triangular triple. Nice. We want to show that A plus 1, B plus 1, C plus 1 is also a triangular triple. Good. Okay, so it's doing some stuff. It shows all the inequalities hold, so therefore it would see what? I think that works. Yeah. Okay. It's now repeating its proof. It said it's indeed a triangular triple. To see why it's a triangular triple. Okay, so I think that's okay, right? We're going to just look at this, and then you just check, and it works. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so it gets the 1 mark for that. Well done. I'm literally talking to a non-sentient being, but well done. We think non-sentient. Okay, the third question. If x, y, z is triangular triple equal to an even number greater than or equal to 6, so that each of that is at least 2 and that. Ooh, okay. Let's try this. So it's saying if that's triangular equal to a number greater than or equal to 6, so that is at least 2 and that is also triangular triple. All right, copied that in. We know that each of x, y, z is positive. I agree with that, and we know the fact about triangular triples. Good. Equal to 1, the others would have to be less than or equal to 4, which would be impossible. Okay, so we know there are at least 2. Is that what we had to show? We did have to show there are at least 2. Okay, so they've argued it can't be 1. Good. And then they've said expanding each of the inequalities, we get that. And if we add them together, we're going to get something interesting. Simplifying this, are we going to get what we want? Because they're all greater than or equal to 2. Beautiful. So if I just double check that, yeah, we can't have 1. Fabulous. And we need to check that, and then they've shown that you get back to where you were. Yeah, all right. I'll give you the marks for that, I think. That's 3 out of 3. Solid. This one's already going better than the last. Okay. Despite the dodgy start, I didn't really get that first bit, but it's doing better on the proofs. Using the previous results, prove that for any positive integer, this. All right, let's see how it gets on here. Okay. Let's see. Oh, it got stuck. It got stuck. Well, I've stopped it. Oh, now there's an error. Oh dear. Well, this isn't very good in an exam, is it? The ChatGPT appears to have broken. which is like the student breaking down in the exam. Not ideal. All right, well, I'm going to try to fix this. Okay, greater than or equal to 3, that. Let's see. Okay, number of triangular triples is the same as number of triangular triples with, right, okay. F of 2k minus 3 equals f of 2k. First note, if ABC is a triple, then each of A, B, and C is at least 2 by the previous result. Very nice. Okay, is odd and at least 5, so A plus B is odd and at least 7. So all of them are at least 2. Okay, so it's used the previous part there. And now it's saying x, y, and z is triangular triple. Moreover, we know that x minus 1 and the plus 1. 1-to-1 correspondence between the set of triples. Okay, yeah, and those ones, yes. Since no triples is counted by that one, we conclude they're the same. All right, that looks good to me, but what are we getting down here? Given that it is iterated by part 2. Likewise, for any triple, that one by part 2 is triangular triple. 1-to-1 correspondence. Wow, okay. It's literally use the exact words. Okay, very nice. That's definitely a solid answer right there. So that's 2 marks on part 4, 2 out of 2. All right. Not long to go now, not much left. Okay, part 5, what are we doing now? Okay, we will now consider the case when p is greater than 6 is even, and we will write p equals 2s. No, I'm not going to do that because that's confusing. Okay. All right, see if we can do this proof again. So suppose that is a triple, yep. We may assume various things, cool. Then we have this, fine. Since p is even, we have this, and this p over 2 is greater than c, which implies, right, number say a is greater than or equal to that. Then we have something. Since a plus b is greater than c, we must have this, and this, therefore a is not a triangle to contradict our assumption. Ah, so we assumed one of them was bigger than that, did we? So suppose that a was bigger than it, and then we got a contradiction. Clever. So, is that how we're going to do it? Meh, it's different, but you know what? It seems sensible to me. I don't have time to check all the details. Be here all day, but you know what? It's said with such confidence, I'll give it 2 marks for that. It's been a hard old exam for ChatGPT, I'll be nice. Okay, now what have we got? Now, for any a such that this, let's show this. Okay, see what we got. All right, I think I've typed that one in correctly. So let's see. Right, so it's going to suppose a is there. Great. I want to count the number of possible values of b such that that is a triple. Yes. Can do some triangle inequalities. Cool. Do some simplifying. Possible values of b, satisfying inequalities. Since b is an integer, there are exactly that many values equals a minus 1 values. Interesting. Because of f of p, we observe various things. Therefore, we have is the sum. Nice telescoping sum, which simplifies to give you this. Then we have that for any even p, the return triples with that one is... Ooh. So it reckons the answer is p over 2 minus 2 multiplied by p over 2 minus 1, all divided by 2. Oh, wow. P over 2 minus 2 multiplied by p over 2 minus 1, all divided. Wow. I'm impressed. Okay. Very impressed. So that's 4 marks right there. Wow. All right, it can do this question apart from part 1. Wow. Okay, and last but not least, very final question is what is f of 21? So it's actually been able to correct my misspelling. Very nice. And it reckons there are 45 using the previous result, and the answer is 55. Oh, no. Oh, it's so mean. What did it do wrong? It used the substitute. It substituted into the formula, not realizing we said this was only true if p was even, and we've been asked to do it for p being odd. So you actually have to use the earlier bit where we had the 3 difference. So 21 is the same as 24, and then you can use the formula rather than just subbing straight in. Sorry, ChatGPT, you do not get that final mark. Final mark. It's going so well, but still very, very, very good effort on that one. All right, so that, putting it all together, gives us a total score of 48 out of 100. I don't know what to make of that. Having just sat here and watched ChatGPT try and solve what is admittedly a tough test. It's interesting, right? It's very interesting. It's about half marks. It's okay. It's not a particularly great mark, in all honesty. The average mark would certainly be usually between 60 and 70, if not a little bit higher in some years. And really, again, there isn't a pass mark. There isn't a fixed mark you have to get to be eligible for admission to Oxford Maths. But we do obviously want to see as high a mark as possible. I have admitted students with much higher marks than 48 and lower marks than 48. So it certainly wouldn't rule ChatGPT out from being admitted. But what we do in the application process is we do take into account the whole package of the student. So the student's background, their school history, everything about them, their performance in the interview, of course, which follows the admissions test. So given I know that ChatGPT has access to everything on the internet pre-2021, I feel like 48 is pretty bad. I'm going to be harsh. But there was some interesting scores in there for sure. So clearly the multiple choice was really bad. So it only scored 12 out of 40 on the multiple choice. So only 3 correct out of the 10. Some of those I think was because it misinterpreted the question. So maybe it would have done better if I'd actually given it the options. But even when I did sometimes give it the options, as we saw on one of the questions, it said they were all correct, which was nonsense. So there's definitely work to be done around that for sure. Question 2, what was question 2? This is the one about the series and the logs. I guess that was okay. It was able to do some sensible things. Got a reasonable mark, kind of cheated a little bit on the integer bit, and at the end, absolutely ridiculous. They got which of these is bigger, and it got that wrong, which is quite funny, given it could have just calculated them. But anyway, question 3 was the one with lots of words around polynomials and roots, and I think it did well on this one. Yeah, so 12 out of 15 is a very solid score. That's a very good score on question 3. And I think having everything written in terms of words seemed to help rather than equations. It seemed to do better with the words as the input rather than mathematical expressions. Question 4 was absolutely terrible. That was the geometry question, asking for lots of sketches and visualizations, and unfortunately it clearly couldn't do that, even though it did try to give me an image from Imgur, which had since been removed and was no longer available. I have no idea what that would have been. And it did do a plot, despite not being able to do a plot in the earlier questions. So that was interesting, but 3 out of 15 is very poor. But then question 5 saved it again. So 13 out of 15 is a really good score on question 5. So it was able to tackle those last few things that we were just looking at there at the end, which were, what were we doing? All the stuff around counting triples. So it seemed to mess up the supposedly easier ones of what is f of blank, but it was able to do the proofs really nicely. So yeah, I think overall, I'm going to say an interesting experiment. To answer the question at the beginning, would or can ChatGPT pass the Oxford Maths admissions test? I think no. I think given everything that I've seen, including some of those interesting inequalities, 1 + 1 being less than or equal to 1 was a real low light, shall we say. So I am going to say, as one of the admissions tutors, I am going to say ChatGPT did not pass the Oxford Maths admissions test. But was it an interesting experiment? Absolutely. And I do hope you have all had as much fun watching this unfold as I have making this video. Thank you as always for watching, and please do remember to subscribe to the channel, particularly if you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you all very soon. Take care.